So this problem is Leetcode 767 reorganize string. So you're given a string S and you are to check if the letters in the string can be rearranged so that characters that are next to each other are not the same. And if it's not possible, then you're going to output just a blank string. So if you're given A, B, you want to be able to output A, B, A because none of the characters that are next to each other are the same. And so in order to do this, you want to keep track of the characters and how many characters there are. What I was thinking of using for this is first a map, and that map will have the key will be the character, and the value will be the number of times that character appears. And then the second thing we will do is after we map all of our characters to how many times it appears in the string, we'll use a priority queue, which is really the most efficient way for sorting with something like this. And we'll use a lambda function to sort based on the values in a map entry, in the map entries. And then after we have our priority queue, our priority queue created, we have an instance of it, we will add all the hash map or all the map entries into the priority queue. So now we have all of our entries in the priority queue, and now we can just take them out. Before we go through our priority queue, we just want to check if the highest value, if it's if the character with the most count, if it's more than half, then it's not possible. So the highest value is more than half the string length. We're going to return a blank string because that means that we can't make it possible. And then what we'll do is we'll take 2 entries at a time and append them to the answer. And the reason we're going to take 2 entries at a time is because we want to make sure that we don't want to keep getting the top entry. We want to get 2 different entries to put them next to each other. And then there's still an entry left. Append that. And then we're going to just return our answer. So those are going to be the steps. Okay, so let's make our map, which is going to be a character and an integer. And so we're going to take every character in our string and add it into this hash map and keep count, and the value is going to be the count. So for every character, we're just going to call it C in S, and we're just going to call it 2-char array. We are going to take that and we're going to put it in, And so we're going to do get or default, because if that doesn't exist there yet, we are going to put 0. So this get or default will say like, oh, if the value for C doesn't exist yet, we're going to put 0. But if it does exist, we're going to get that value and we're going to add 1. So now we have our hash map set. So now we are going to create our priority queue to sort these based on their values, because we want to have the most, we want to keep using the highest value first. So priority queue, and the priority queue type is going to be map, and then in map in Java there's a nested class called entry. So if we're going to take a map entry and put that in a priority queue. So every map entry is going to be in the priority queue. And that is the same character integer. And we are going to, we're going to here identify how this priority queue sorts. So I'm just going to use a lambda function, and I'm just using a, b. You can use whatever you want. It's just commonly used a, b. And we're going to say, okay, for every entry that we add, use this specific way to compare and sort on. And so we're going to say for every values, we're just going to say integer compare the b value and the a value. So then our priority queue is set. So now let's add them all to the priority queue. So we're going to say for our map entry, for every entry in the entry set. And so in this hash map, we can have all our values, we can have all the key set, but here we're looking for the entry set, which is, it'll just say for every entry that's in this map right now. So for every entry in this map, we're going to go one by one, and we're just going to take our priority queue and just add. And then the priority queue will sort it for us based on this lambda function. So now we have our priority queue, and we have all of our entries, and they're all sorted. So we're going to check to see again if the character that appears most, if it is more than half the amount of characters, we're going to return just a blank string. So we're not going to pull our priority queue, we're just going to peek at it, and we're going to get the value. And if that value is greater than half of the string's length, we are going to return empty string. Okay, and now we can get to our string builder. Which will eventually be our answer. And so we're going to say, while the priority queue size is greater than or equal to 2, we're going to take 2 entries at a time. Again, so that we'll keep adding 2 different characters next to each other. So we're going to have our map entry, which is again character integer. I'm just going to call it map entry 1, and it's going to be just the top value in the priority queue, and then we're going to take that and we're going to get 2 entries because we know that it's greater than or equal to 2, so we at least have 2 entries. So now we have 2 entries, and so we can just append these to our string builder. I'm going to append M1, and then we can just do another append. I'm going to do M1. We're going to get the key, not the entry set. So, and then we're going to do append 2. Okay, so we have those top 2 in the priority queue appended. So now we have to decrement them. And so I am just going to set the value to be just 1 less. And then M2. Okay, so if those values, if it's greater than 0, we can still add this character to our string builder. We're going to add it back to the priority queue. And then the same thing for M2. Okay. So now if the priority queue has 1 left, so if the priority queue size is greater than 0, we're going to just take that and append it. I'm just going to say pull and get key. And so I'm doing this in 1 line here. I'm not doing a whole map entry because I know that there's just 1 entry left and I don't have to check it or decrement it. So I'm just going to do that all in 1 line right here. And then at the end, all we have to do is return the string builder to string. I'm just going to check to see if I have any outstanding bugs I can see. I'm just going to try to run this code. Oh, I have to do this. Okay, and that should be it. I know there's kind of a lot of steps, but this is a little bit of a complicated problem. There's a bunch of different ways to do this, but I found that this is probably the most straightforward way. And I know this is a little verbose, but I think this is also, again, probably the best way to do it. You can't add a prefix here. That's not going to work. So, all right, thank you.